Good morning, fellow viewers. Welcome once more to this program, the No Conny Talk Zone. This is a program where we talk without any conny. For those who they need to understand our African parlance, our pidgin English, pidgin standard English. It means say this one is a show where we speak the truth and nothing but the truth, where we present to the people of Africa, in particularly Ambazonia and the Biafran people who are in a liberation war, an accurate picture of their situation. We hold leadership to account to make sure that the people are being promised only what is attainable. We also make sure we push policy that are effective and push leadership and the organizations that are the primary organizations, the indigenous people of Biafra and the Ambazonia Governing Council towards this direction. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome once more to this platform that is being broadcast live on ACN TV and on many platforms on YouTube, both on the Ambazonians and the Biafran platforms. My name is Capo Daniel, aka Sense Pass King, Lukong. For those who did watch me for the first time, Lukong, I mean village champion. We believe say the champion there for village, the hero there for village, where they help our mothers and our sisters for carry water, where they help our villagers for broke firewood, those who they carry sansan, those who they do the man labor. Those are the true heroes in Africa where they make a difference in people their life. Now they sustain the economy. Let leave those big people where they just take paper money for buy things and live in luxurious life without little care of our environment and the value of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. We have taken the mantle to be honest with you and to take the heat to stand to speak the truth, because we know when you speak the truth you have a lot of enemy. But we believe the people of Africa do need this service and we have stepped up to do just that. And I should remind you, my viewers, that I am also a top command official of the Ambazonia Defense Forces. I'm the Deputy Defense Chief, serving as that capacity, and also a top aide to the Ambazonian Governing Council. You are all welcome. I'll be talking, and since I'm live on YouTube, I'll be greeting those who are watching me live and giving them a shout out, just in case you are watching me in your room in Ambazonia, Biafra, across Africa. In Germany, we have a lot of viewers in Germany and the United States. You have to understand there will be people watching me live, and I greet those who watch me live on YouTube and on many other platforms. Please do not forget to check me out. Search Capo Daniel on YouTube and subscribe to my channel to get the latest videos and presentation that I do. So, as usual, we start our show with an entertainment video, a short video of a music clip, a time where I go use them for salute all man where they watch me live for me. And we are very happy to see them being able to express themselves, carrying their national flag, singing their national anthem. We hope the same for the Biafran So welcome everybody. I can see G Pastor is live on YouTube. I can see Eric Mukong and all those who join me. I want to greet you all. You are highly welcome to this platform. And if you are watching me, you are one of the most intellectual Africans, because we are very intellectual. We are very we have our viewers are the most smartest people in Africa. So count yourself one of the smart ones, one of the no conny, one of the sense past king. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. ladies and gentlemen, we thank those young Ambazonian refugees who are free in a free country in Biafra, who are able to sing their national anthem and carry their flag without the fear of being killed by the Cameroon military that is waging a war against an ideology, an unwinnable war against the people of Ambazonia. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow viewers of the Ambazonian Communication Network, you are all welcome to this platform. Once again, I am Capo Daniel, Sense Pass King, and you are watching the No Connie Talk Zone. You also have a privilege to have direct briefing from my office, the Deputy Defense Chief, as well. Today, we are going to look into something very, very important that is happening in the international community. As we know very well, we don't fight in a vacuum. We are all part of the international system, and our case for independence, whether in Biafra or in Ambazonia, is rests on the international community giving something to us that we cannot give for ourselves. That is recognition. And finally, the status and the power to operate within our sovereign right as states. So you are all welcome to the show. We will go right to the show, and we don't have an opening statement today. We'll just go right to our subject matter. But before I get into what is happening in Afghanistan, yesterday we finally have the first press conference of the Taliban that was done by one Ziaullah Mujahid. He is a spokesperson of the Taliban. He gave that press conference. We have been monitoring the situation there, and we also are monitoring how this will impact international politics. Diplomacy is based on things like this. What is happening in Afghanistan is very fundamental in terms of people's right. This is a big victory for those who clamor for people's right, especially for those in the developing countries like Ambazonia and Biafra, who are seeking to exercise the right of self-determination. Policies, international policies, are carved out of incidents and conclusion of conflict like the one in Afghanistan. So I'm going to bring you the perspective where you would benefit from what it means to you as an Ambazonian and what it means to you as a Biafran, which is our ally of the fall of the regime. We call them control democracy that was in Afghanistan, run on the backside by the American government. I'm going to get into that analysis very soon. But first, I want to congratulate the Biafran people and the leadership of the IPOD. The IPOD is the main faction of the Biafran movement. We also recognize that there are other factions like the Bakassi, the Biafran National League that operates from Bakassi as well, that we are engaged with them. And there are many other factions that we do engage with them. But we do recognize that the most influential, the major faction of that is driving Biafran self-determination is the organization of the indigenous people of Biafra, being led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We want to congratulate them for reinstating the ghost town that is meant to protest against the rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, and is also meant to exert self-control of the destiny and political decision of the Biafran people. Is very, very crucial. And we can see on Monday the 9th, the ghost town was successful. This is big success for the Biafran people. This finally means that it is the will of the Biafran people that exert itself along their street. It has a lot of ramification. This will now give diplomatic capital for the IPOD to lobby the international community for sympathy with the cause of the Biafran people, to make the case that this is not just an agitation, but this is an expression of the will of the people who stood for the vision of a free and self-governing and independent Biafran state. This is a very powerful statement, and you are now in the offensive. So the Biafran people should not expect BBC, CNN to report this. We always say the revolution will not be televised. You only get such discussion in platforms like this where real revolutionary work. But definitely the revolution is not being ignored. The international community is definitely watching what is going on. They will not come out to say things that are going to encourage the Biafran people, but behind in diplomatic corridors, conversation will be going on. They will be observing to see how resilient the Biafran people are, how serious they are. Are they willing to really take this thing to its expectant end, or are they going to play into the hands of those they are going to send behind the door to advise them, oh, you have to stop this thing, you don't have to go too far, it is going to cost us this. They are going to make all this manipulation. And we are seeing the manipulation being played in front of our eyes. We have gone through the same experience in Ambazonia. We heard and we saw the document that was released by the iPod saying that the ghost town have been called off due to an instruction that was given by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Ambazonia Governing Council. We have had conversation with our counterpart across the border. We had protested and they had also had meetings, and they have reversed that decision, and they have reiterated that the ghost town every Monday will continue in Biafra land. I want to take a moment to play you one of the audio from their spokesperson as well, so that you can hear directly from him, and then we will match fire and we go on into this presentation.
Do not succumb out of fear. Do not succumb to the threat of the inconsequential governors in the East. Do not succumb to their threat. We are strongly and solidly behind this order of sit at home, and we will do everything to see the lockdown and implementation of a ghost town in the entire Southeast Biafra land.
So that was a spokesperson of the iPod reiterating that the ghost town remains every Monday. This is very important. The people of Biafra must work together to make sure everybody stay at home, to send a clear message to the international community. For anybody to try to compromise this movement on the ground in Biafra land will be putting in jeopardy the life of all the 64 million Biafran people who are clamoring for independence, and the Biafran Eastern Security Network will be the vanguard to make sure that the Nigerian government do not pay agents to go out and parade and make propaganda videos that things are going normal, in order to affect the mindset of the people. As the people are now listening to their leadership, the people should focus on that and make sure that they protect the integrity of what they are doing. Because from our experience, there will be paid people. The Nigerian pulpits there, the governors are going to pay people, threaten people, open some few shops. You have to make sure that you enforce the law of the land. It is the will of the people, and it is a righteous thing, and it is the right thing to do. Watch your back, and do not, you have to be smart. The Biafran people, I think they are learning now that just the leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in prison, is frail. I remember before Nnamdi Kanu was rendated, he was kidnapped. I had come out and I had warned the Biafran people about the possibility that their leader could be killed, could be picked up, put in comunicado. I made that presentation, and it has happened is because of our experience in Ambazonia and our study of other liberation movement across the world. Now the captain, the general, the big boss of the Biafran people is in the hands of the enemy. You would have to have a process to filter whatever information and instruction comes from him. The Nnamdi Kanu you know before he went to prison may not be the same person again, but he is strong. He will remain the leader of your group. He will remain that figure. But every instruction that will come out from prison have to be looked into with the precedents and the principle he had laid down before his captivity. And you have a wonderful leadership out there to do that for you. You must be careful, because what happened was one of the lawyers who visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the one who came out with that information that the ghost town have been cancelled. You have instances like this. You have infiltrators. You have people who come pretending to be supporting Biafrans, who are Biafrans, paid slaves, who are going to try to undermine and puncture the struggle to make sure that you don't do the right thing that is needed for you to have your independence. I always maintain my opinion that Biafran independence will not come through referendum. We already know this principle from our study of other liberation war. all the PhD people who are going to come and tell you, they will argue here, argue that, nothing will succeed. You can go to court and debate whatever you debate. The judge can just be replaced one day, and they tell you the whole case has to start from the scratch. The prosecutors, the chief prosecutor can just retire or move to another state, and they tell you a new prosecutor team have come. They need time to study the case. They can drag this case until Nnamdi Kanu is dead, because Nnamdi Kanu is frail. His health is affected by the whole trauma he has gone through. From our conversation with those who have seen him, his health is really not good. He's not at his best, and but the Biafran people should expect anything. He has lived his life for the Biafran people. He has given everything for them. The least they can do is to fight this fight for him, to make sure Biafra is free, because that is what he wants, and that is what he has given his life for. And we should continue to pray for him, pray for his family, and hope that he will be released and see freedom one day. But we also must expect the worst, because when we step into this liberation movement, we are coming knowing that we may not come out alive, but we are making sure that no generation after our generation will live through what we have gone through. So we are going to plant the seed. We are going to make sure that the freedom will come, and send the message to the enemy that they are not going to get away with subjugating our people. So now, in the side of the Ambazonian liberation war, I will give you a little bit update before I dive into the main presentation of what the fall of the Afghanistan government mean for you, the Ambazonian people, and for you, the Biafran people. It has tremendous effect. It has shaken the diplomatic and international community. We are going to give you the meaning of those things. There are news that is coming from the great state of Bui that 2 Ambazonian defense forces who went to the market to do shopping, to buy food, were killed by the Bui warriors. And the Biafran people who listen to me will have to understand what is going on as well. We are losing more soldiers being killed by fellow Ambazonians who are working for people who are paid agents by the Cameroon government. These are the people who oppose the Biafran Ambazonian alliance. These individuals are people who saw the uprising of the Ambazonian people, and you have the same people in Biafra, as an opportunity for them to step in, come and negotiate on behalf of the people in order to benefit. Because previously, when government find it difficult to suppress uprising, they look for people like these who can suppress the people's will and stop the war, stop the agitation, and make money out of it. These are people that have been declared as people who have privately engaged and commit themselves to negotiate on the platform of federalism, but they parade themselves as independentists, so-called governments. And then I think the Biafra movement also have a group of people who have also made a government in Abuja. Can you imagine? So these people are all traitors that are pretending to be revolutionaries, but their main job is to kill our forces on the ground. This is a long list of soldiers that have been compiled by citizens of Ambazonia, long list of soldiers that have been killed by these individuals, and instruction given to forces on the ground by these individuals. The list goes up to close to 90 people, 90 soldiers that they have killed. Now they have killed 2 Ambazonian fighters who were not armed, who were going to the market just to buy food. And one of the soldiers who was killed was the brother of Nginiam, who was also executed by forces lawyer and receiving instruction from Samuel Ikomesako and Chris Anu. Nginiam was our best sniper. He was wanted by the Cameroon military. They have done everything to kill him, providing a reward on the soldiers in Bui to out him out. Eventually, he was killed, not by Cameroon military, but by those youths that have been lured and deceived by these 2 individuals who run a cartel in the name of a government. These are the people who are challenging us. These are the people who have seek help from Buhari, maybe begging for money. And we expect people like these. These are people who are lazy scammers, 419ers, who are now injecting themselves into this liberation movement. So we have now declared a complete lockdown of the Bui state. Our forces are going to implement this lockdown. We are asking for all vehicles not to go in and out of Bui State because of military operations that are going on there. And there is also the issue of the drivers that run Bamenda and So road also. They are specifically told not to use that road because they will not be allowed to use that road. And any vehicle that will use that road may be seized, may be burned down to send a message, a deterrent message to the rest. So I'll play the audio message from our overall commander, Major General Capo, a message he has given to the Ambazonian people regarding the lockdown, 1 week lockdown in Bui due to the security challenges that have risen up because of this inside attack against our forces. Let me bring up the video.
Things, especially the one them for Bui. A Major General Capo the talk. So, for the past 5 years, all we don't witness how they fight, they go for Bui. In fighting, they go for Bui, past the one where they fight military. And this one way happened today. This one way really happened today. The 17th of the Edmond 2021. Where we warrior them, they attack ADF soldiers them from the market, they shoot them too. People where they come out empty-handed, they not be get any weapon for go biting them for market. They hold them, shoot them. Shoot all them too. You don't gonna go touch the one where the 23 people them where they be sick, where they be also kill them for Buye. And now how with the Shidong, all time so they the key to go. So this time around, we won't really know now, we won't really know whether their mission now for fight La Republic or now for fight ADF for Bui. And this one now, I be sure say you don't pass amber to amber, because if you want fight for arrange this matter, plenty people them go fall for them. Plenty people them go fall for them. Because as they plenty people them go fall for them. And people where we go help, where they go help we now for solve this matter. Now which people? Now our civilian them for Bui. Especially the one for Kaikom, the one for Banten. Made the Shidong really see thing where they pass. Where people them for Kakai, they only go kill for kill Oman. Their own mission now for kill ADF fighter them. Now so, and the special thing we go make and I say wait, me go block Bamenda route. Me Bamenda route may be block. All Bamenda, all driver them where they loot from Bamenda go come enter Kumbu. Me no man no try for the week. Till further notice, me will know how we think today. Now we the civilian them now help we arrange this matter, because it don't hard we. It don't really hard we. Because if we take say na shooting, plenty people them go fall. Plenty people them go fall. This time around, we won't really know whether we warrior them be now for fight La Republic or ADF for Bui. It don't overbe done by the people. So any man we violate the goods town, no blame we again. No blame we again. Especially that main route from Bamenda to Kumbu. How we driver them, the gather money give them for Bui warrior, then go buy bullet them with them. Can't shoot ADF fighter them with them. This time around, we therefore know whether their mission for this struggle now waiting. Thanks all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that one is the overall commander for the Bui State, General Capo. He talk about the lockdown. We don't announce a 1 week lockdown for the great state of Bui due to the security challenges the way that arise because of the assassination, the killing of 2 of our forces. Them military operation they go be anticipated for go down for inside Bui. When they see now the least than this way the add for the people the way they don't be assassinated and killed by Sako Ikome, their splinter group. They are continuing, intensifying attacks against Ambazonia. Nobody fighting for Ambazonia will be asking people to go and kill other Ambazonians for political reasons. This senseless attack inside attack against the ADF, who we go only lead for ADF for act in self-defense, because you know go to fight for self-defense against Cameroon, then people they attack you, then you don't react. So these are all insider attacks, provocation against the ADF, and sometimes we have seen some few political scavengers coming in the name of scoop who are trying to seize advantage over the blood of our boys to come and say that ADF and IG are fighting, so they want to become relevant because of that. That is just too low. I don't even want to think about Siseko involving himself in those type of people. I've seen some this pam base. I will not call their name, but this is very serious matter. We have lost a lot of people being killed, people being instigated to kill, people being paid millions to go and kill the ADF, to kill the nationalist forces. This nonsense have to stop. There should be deterrence by now. It is understandable. There should be deterrence reactions on such incidents. Be rest assured that is what they will get, because that is what they deserve. So we are blocking and calling on the people of Bui to observe this 1 week lockdown. No vehicle. The vehicle, the way they load motor for Bamenda, for Bui, these are the vehicles these are the drivers that have engaged in payment for security to Isobu. Isobu and the Bui warriors, they don't want peace and unity because they want to continue to exploit those drivers. We know from the information we have that those drivers have become the main people that are supplying them with money, and they are all pretending that they are IG supporters. So from now, this 1 week, all vehicles are banned from getting in and out of Bui. We are going to study the things and make some contacts with them. And the drivers union there, our lines are open for them to call us. Nevertheless, we have 1 week lockdown in Bui State. So that will be what will be going on there, why military operations will be conducted during this period. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow viewers, you're welcome again. We are going to dive now straight inside our presentation regarding what is happening in Afghanistan. As Saddam earlier talked, the Afghanistan takeover, the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan have sent shockwave through the international community, the international system, and the international calculus are being rewritten, because it has set a clear precedent where it will benefit all those who are clamoring and fighting for human rights and for right of indigenous people and right of people to be able to govern themselves. So first, we don't wait for get the interview to get the press conference from the Taliban to understand what is going on, their thinking, and then to weigh it with what the Americans are saying and know how it benefits us. We already know that there are intensified diplomatic engagement from the Governing Council of Ambazonia regarding our rights and our self-determination. Things are only getting better on that front. Not everything, unfortunately, we can put out there, but today I want to bring to you what is happening in Afghanistan. Joe Biden, who is the president of America, the most influential country when it comes to this right. You remember the United Nations, the whole international setup was being set up by the Americans, who brought together their allied forces that defeated the Germans during the Second World War. So they have written the script. What Americans decide is basically what the international community will go with. You look at NATO, the decision to pull out was made single-handedly by the Americans, and NATO have to follow suit. The United Nations is definitely just a tool for these countries to implement their vision for this war, and we should be very conscious of that, especially how we fight for our liberation movement. It is going to guide us and give us the tool of international understanding how our struggle is going and how things like this affect our struggle. So let's watch the interview, the press conference given by Joe Biden, and then I'll take you to what the Taliban have said, so that you can have a clear picture of the meaning of these happenings.
There was no status quo of stability without American casualties after May 1. There was only a cold reality of either following through on the agreement to withdraw our forces or escalating the conflict and sending thousands more American troops back into combat in Afghanistan.
So I want to make una know how the Taliban people then win over their country, then take total control for their country. Today una dey hear the same Taliban where they be call them like terrorists, like primitive people, like bad people. They are being embraced by the international community. The Chinese are welcoming them. They want to do business with them. The Russians are welcoming them. The Iranians, the whole world will eventually embrace the Taliban. People that were considered backward, that were considered criminals, terrorists, and whatsoever. Things are changing. I want you to listen carefully to the reason why the Americans have abandoned Afghanistan. First, Joe Biden, the president of America, says the status quo. If things remain the way they are, every day Americans will be dying. Slow death. They will be burying their children. Those families are real families back home. So they will not accept a situation, no matter how many Talibans they have killed, so long as Talibans are capable of killing their soldiers, even one a week. It has terrible consequences on their psychology and their calculations.
Lurching into the third decade of conflict. I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces.
So after 20 years of fighting, the Americans have learned the hard way, a lessons they know already from their experience in Vietnam. No matter how long you fight people resisting in their own indigenous territory, in their own territory, their own country, you will eventually come to the same conclusion. You cannot fight them with weapons. You cannot defeat them. You have to go back to your country. This is true in Afghanistan. This is true in Ambazonia. This will be true in Biafra. You have to know this logic, and you have to know that this is attainable. So long as you have a right case, you have the moral grounds to fight, to resist foreign occupation, you will eventually prevail.
That's why we're still there. We were clear-eyed about the risk. We planned for every contingency, but I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the...
So understand one thing. The Afghanistan, I will come back to tell you exactly what happened. You should know that the mission of Americans to attack in Afghanistan was have a good moral standing initially, because they were attacked by Al-Qaeda. So naturally, they had the right to strike back at Al-Qaeda. Remember, it was not the Taliban that attacked America. It was Al-Qaeda that attacked America, and the Americans was going into Afghanistan to find the Taliban, to fight the Taliban in order to get rid of Al-Qaeda. Eventually, in 2011, Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden was killed. The whole justification of that war and American presence in Afghanistan was supposed to come to an end, because that is the reason. You are going there to kill Osama bin Laden. You have finally killed him. There is no reason for you to stay there. But what happened was, the Americans, they called for a conference. They had called for a conference, a Berlin conference in 2014, and in 2012, the United Nations, organized by the United Nations, listen very well, to gather all the international partners to pay for a program to reconstruct Afghanistan and reorganize Afghanistan. In the talks in 2014 in Berlin, and the talk in 2012 that was also in Berlin and in Qatar and in many other Arab states, the Taliban was kept aside because they did not see them like people who are civilized, despite the fact that the Taliban is the most popular, the most organized group in Afghanistan. If you go in the diaspora population of Afghanistan people, especially those in Pakistan, where you have the vast majority of diasporans, all of them, more than 90% supports the Taliban. They are free there. You could say, you cannot say they are under pressure. You go to India, all of them supports the ideology of the Taliban. That is not to say they support necessarily the Al-Qaeda. They support the Taliban because the Taliban represent their culture, their way of life, their Islamic way of life, no matter how you see it. But every people have the right to live the way they choose to, so long as they are not, their way of life are not repugnant to natural justice. Even when this conflict exists, where traditional practice and the way of life, it goes against natural justice, against women's rights, against human rights, you cannot fight such ills or such shortcomings by using gun. You cannot fight such shortcoming by imposing a controlled democracy over those people, using corrupt individuals in the diaspora who want to come there and just represent American vision and way of life. It has failed in many other countries. That is the reason why a lot of refugees are now migrating out of countries into America, because their people have no chance, they have no say in governing their country. They have kept aside the Taliban that encourage and radicalize the Taliban to carry out more attacks against the Americans, because they represent the vision of the people. That's why they are popular. That's why the Americans cannot win. Remember that before Osama bin Laden was killed, the Afghanistan military was really motivated to fight. You had the Northern alliances that were fighting. You have some tribes that were supporting the fight to fight against the Taliban because they were seen as hosting the Al-Qaeda network. After that, when this corrupt government that was formed, which is more corrupt than the Taliban, because these are people who are there simply because the Americans put them there, because the Americans are there. It's the same thing that is happening in Biafra and in Nigeria, in Cameroon, and many other states that were colonized by white people. They select their own type of black people, their own type of happy slave, and give the country over to people that have been trained in their own educational system to have this controlled democracy. And specific people that represent the local people are banned from participating in politics, are arrested, put in jail, labeled terrorists, and they are being chased every single day to kill them. While political venues are made for their own corrupt officials to take control of a government that is just there to do one thing: protect American interests. The Afghanistan government was there to protect American interests, to make sure that Al-Qaeda do not come there. That is not a bad justification, but that should not be the reason of a government, to protect foreign interests. It will move from protecting America from Al-Qaeda to protecting American corporate interests in Afghanistan, which is to collect rare earth and other mineral resources to help the American economy. That is the main job of the Afghanistan government, because that is the only interest the American government have in that country. They don't care about democracy. All their talks about democracy is fake. So listen to what he says.
So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country.
So Afghanistan, their political leader, their president, ran away. Why did he run away? Because first of all, he was just there because of the Americans. He was not there for the Afghanistan people. So when the American goes, they will go. The same thing with Paul Biya and Buhari. They are there not because of the Cameroonians or the Nigerians. They are there because of the British and the French and the multinationals who are exploiting their resources. They are there because of the earth. They are there because they have been given a military that is being trained by the foreigners. That is the only reason those political things are there. And every time you pull away the foreign presence, the foreign support, those regimes will collapse. And it will not be a bad thing. They have given all propaganda, the Taliban is this and that, but that is not what we are seeing on the street in Kabul today. First, let's continue and I'll get back to that.
The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight. If anything, the developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves.
So, this is the President of America testifying to the war that the Afghan army, they were paid salaries, they were given the best equipments, they were trained, they were given ranks and files, over 300,000 of them. They could not fight. Why? Because their only reason of fighting is not about their country, it's about their salary. Same with the Nigerian military and the Cameroon army. They don't want to die because they are not fighting for a moral cause. They are fighting for a political system that provides them with money. So how do you expect people like that to fight? And this should be a lesson to the entire liberation movement, to know that the government of the military of Nigeria and Cameroon will not fight us without foreign backings. Listen.
We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong. Incredibly well equipped. A force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force. Something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force.
So, what you have to know is that you can join the Taliban military, American military, or the military in the war. You cannot win the Taliban. Because even though you have the power, the manpower, you have the military gear, you have all those things, the Taliban have disarmed them. Now you have all those weapons now in the hands of the Taliban. The Taliban today are more stronger than some NATO countries, according to what the President of America is saying. Because they are standing on the people's right. The Atlantic Charter that was drawn up by Winston Churchill and Roosevelt, the President of America and UK, it was an acknowledgement of this reality that no government should interfere in the right of governance of any people or alter their political outlook. It will never ever work. It is human nature. That is why no matter how Nigeria is, so long as it was built in disregard of the people's will and the people's right of Biafra, they were disintegrated. The eastern states were disintegrated during the amalgamation against the will of the Biafran people. The southern Cameroons were tied with the French Cameroon against the will of the southern Cameroon people that were expressed in the Manfred Conference, where all our chiefs, our leaders, they say we want independence. But the British people, they decide to go against our will. That's why we can never fit in Cameroon. That's why the Biafrans can never fit in Nigeria. No matter how you try, even if you give them money, even if you try to solve all the symptoms, it will not still work. They will still feel out of place because something is wrong. And the Nigerian government will continue to suppress them because they cannot give them freedom to express themselves, because if they open their mouth, the complaints that is going to come there will be that I want to leave. So they have to torture people, political imprisonment, and all these things. Imagine the amount of people that have died. When the Americans, the international community, know very well that you cannot govern a people without their consent. You are setting up a government in Afghanistan, excluding the Taliban, who are actually representing the local people of that land. Why do you think the Taliban cannot be killed? You kill Mullah Omar, you kill all their leaders, new one emerge. You kill their soldiers, new one emerge. In the areas where the Taliban have been controlling, have there been war there? It have been peaceful. In area controlled by the Taliban, women are going to school. But the propaganda machine, the international press, including the United Nations, Every day are talking about human right, human right. It should be the human right that suits them, not the human rights that the Taliban people want. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you the real face of the American policy so that you will know how international politics work. This is an education, as we say, this is the no Connie talk zone, where we bring the African people exactly the truth, the reality of their situation, so that they can be equipped with knowledge to make the right decision to affect the change that we deserve as Africans. So this is the testimony of Hillary Clinton talking about the reality of what has transpired in Afghanistan.
Let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And we did it because we were locked in this struggle with the Soviet Union. They invaded Afghanistan, and we did not want to see them control Central Asia. And we went to work. And it was President Reagan, in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places.
So this is a credible witness. You are not hearing somebody who is a lay person speculating, throwing conspiracy theory out there. This is the wife of former President Bill Clinton. She was a senator representing New York City. She has been in many committees, have classified information, and she's telling you what the Americans did. They are the one who went to Saudi Arabia and recruited people like Osama bin Laden to bring this Wahhabi brand of Islam into Afghanistan. It did not exist in Afghanistan. She is saying they brought them there, brought foreign fighters, give them weapons. At that time, what were they telling Osama bin Laden and the other people? They were telling them, go and fight for your religion is good, go and do everything. Because behind, they wanted their national interest, which was to fight against their enemy, the Soviet Union. It was not to fight for the Afghanistan people. It was not for the interest of the Afghanistan people. It was to serve the national interest of America. So Africans, we need to understand what drives international politics is not democracy. It's not human condition. It is driven primarily by Americans' international interests, their economic interests, their military interests. That is what drives them. If you want to affect change from these people, you must know this to know what you can get from them and how you can get from them.
Supporting their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated. They lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. So there's a very strong argument, which is, wasn't a bad investment to end the Soviet Union, but let's be careful what we sow because we will harvest. So we then left Pakistan. We said, okay, fine, you deal with the stingers that we've left all over your country. You deal with the mines that are along the border. And by the way, we don't want to have anything to do with you. In fact, we're sanctioning you. So we stopped dealing with the Pakistani military and with ISI, and we now are making up for a lot of lost time.
We're building a relationship that just did not exist. I said in our last...
So understand something, my country people, understand this. This is against whatever the Americans have agreed to with the rest of the world in creating the international system, the United Nations. The whole basis of the United Nations is based on this document, the Atlantic Charter, that was fashioned to create the League of Nations and the United Nations. A vision of war, peace, coexistence, and protection of human rights is based on the respect of these principal and cardinal rights. But at every time, the Americans, they violate it. And it does not work. It does not work. And eventually, the right of the people will prevail, as we have seen today in Afghanistan. But ladies and gentlemen, before I hit my closing statement, which is the conclusion I want you to know and the lessons I want you to know as liberation people of Biafra and Ambazonia from this experience of the Taliban and how it is shaping the war, the reality of the war, which is inevitable. Remember that the Americans and the British, they came up with the Atlantic Charter not because they are good, but because the type of policy of colonialism, expansionism, had turned out to bite them. Because now, what they were doing to the blacks and the Asians, the Germans also had military power. And they decided to do the same thing to the French and the Brits. The Japanese decided also to invade Asia, invade even Hong Kong, where I am based. So imperialism is against human nature and against the law of human nature, and it does not work. Because for them to maintain that control over territories abroad, they will be losing human life every day. They will have to be brutal, losing away their moral standing, and they will have to be paying. Eventually, the cost will be unsustainable, and they have to abandon those projects. It's not because they love us, that's why they create the United Nations. It's just human nature that no group of people will accept to be subjugated, will accept to be manipulated, and have government over them that seeks to protect foreign interests and care less about the suffering of their own people. So we have watched the interview, the first press conference of the Taliban, and I want to show you now what is the Taliban. Forget about every classification you have heard from the Americans, calling them terrorists, calling them harborers of Osama bin Laden and all those things. This is now the Taliban, their interview that was granted by their spokesperson Zabaullah Mujahid in Afghanistan, in the presidential palace in Kabul. This is I've put it in two excerpts. I'll play you the first one to listen to them in their own words. And believe me, these guys are more trustworthy than the Americans. They are religious people who keep their word. They are better than even the politicians that was running that country.
Some people have created chaos. There have been gangsters operating, but we have stopped them. But I reassure all residents of Kabul that we protect them. They are safe, and now all our fighters are across Kabul city, and we will be taking care of the security.
So I recorded this interview with my own phone because, you know, media houses will own, because of patent right and all those things, and they'll share it in bits, in pieces. So the quality is not very good. But this is the spokesperson of the Taliban talking about the insecurity problems in Kabul and talk about the protection of the embassies, how important it is to protect the foreign embassies. This is him talking about protecting property against thieves, against looting. Remember, if it was a Nigerian and Cameroon military, the least thing that happened like that, people will be looting everywhere. The military will just stand behind. These are them being very responsible.
We know that Afghanistan, especially Kabul, is home to many embassies, foreign embassies. So we are trying to protect all, to create security for all the embassies, for all the city, and we have brought extra fighters here. We are reassuring everybody, all international organizations, all embassies, the UN, all aid agencies, that no one will be harmed. They are secure.
Sorry, the quality is really poor, but this. I want you to hear about the education of women.
Sharia, they are a very important part of our society. We need them. They need to be actively involved in our society. But according.
So this is the Taliban talking about women's rights. They have allowed school to go on in areas they control already. Women are going to school. They have evolved. This evolution might be because of this war or whatever, but it shows that they are flexible to effectuate change in any society does not require war, does not require guns and bombs. You don't need to go and fight a war to get the Taliban to accept education. And I say that to all conflict areas in Africa. You don't even need, I've always said it, even the war against Boko Haram is useless. It serves only public international interest. It does not serve the interest of the Nigerian people. They will never win Boko Haram because those Muslim people are fighting in their own homeland. If they say they don't want to teach their children, the solution is not to fight them. Leave them and make the case through advocacy. You will not go and fight them with guns because they want to control their people. All those people bringing those guns, supplying arms to those very Boko Haram in Nigeria, it is the same politicians that are using them to fight for their own political vision of Nigeria, instigating them, taking advantage of their culture, just like the Americans took advantage of the culture and ideology of Wahhabism in Saudi Arabia, importing it into Afghanistan. So if the Americans brought the Taliban into the Al-Qaeda into Afghanistan, who is ultimately responsible for the chaos caused by Osama bin Laden? You see the fighting going on in Cameroon, in Congo, in many other African countries. They are being engineered by foreign powers who are interested in taking away our resources, interested in having puppet governments there with so-called controlled democracy, where they will set up a government. They have written the constitution for you. You are just there to recruit policemen, recruit military people, be brutal on your own people so that the foreign contracts could be executed in your land. And you call yourself government. How can you call yourself a government? You have a country where you did not even write the constitution. How can you call yourself, even in many African countries, in Uganda, in all those countries, are those countries truly African countries? Do the people in those countries actually have a right in deciding on their political outlook and their political leadership? Every time they will use democracy as a blindfold and have rigged elections, they themselves will admit that the election is rigged, and they'll tell you, oh, because of stability, just allow the impostor to continue to rule over you for the next 7 years. 7 will become 14, 14 will become 20, 20 will become 30 years, and the people are hopeless. You have every African youth traveling abroad because of no opportunities. Country with rich, resourceful people, human resource and natural resource, but they cannot put those resources to use because the people who are in charge of those countries care less about development. All they care is to facilitate exploitation by foreign powers who are going to provide them comfort back in the foreign countries. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the Ambazonians and Biafran liberators, what you have to know is that the people's right shall prevail. All the guns in the war shall not stop Ambazonia. As a matter of fact, the more Paul Biya sends troops into Ambazonia, the more Ambazonian troops have more guns. The more he escalates, the more we become better. It is just the rule of nature, because their army is there to fight for salary. They are there just to survive and go back to their own country. After the fight, they will go back to their home, where they actually live. But our soldiers are living there. They are the children of that land. The same with the Biafran people. They should know that Nigeria cannot win Biafra. They cannot. They thought that they won Biafra, the war was over. But we have to be better, because now we know why they are fighting us. They are fighting us because of foreign interests. What are these foreign interests? It is the economic power. And it goes against 3 primary guarantees that the world have acknowledged in the people's rights and the right of self-determination that we are fighting. These 3 principles that is being violated in our territory. They say no territorial adjustment against the will of the people. These have been violated by the amalgamation in Nigeria, and the so-called unification of the Ambazonia, of the southern Cameroon. These are fundamental things that are needed for every country to live in peace and prosperity. Political outlook. We did not decide on the state. The outlook of our outlook is like you want to be a federal state, you want to be a republican, whatever you want the country to be like. The political system. The political system design that the Biafran people are living under was not done in their consultation. It does not reflect what they want. The same with Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. The third one is self-governance, where the people can govern themselves through elected representative. Now in Nigeria, the people don't even have a right. They have corrupted them with this system that forces itself on them, so much that the people are in destitution, that a single vote in Nigeria now have a value, a naira value. It's 5,000 for one vote. For corrupt people to buy their place into governorship, into senate. These are all corrupt individuals. They are there because of money. They are there because they are paid money. They are not there to serve the Nigerian people or the Biafran people. Not even the Nigerian people. The same with Cameroon. In Cameroon, they don't even have money for that. They don't even... The Ambazonian people are worthless because the French people are even more brutal. They don't even buy your vote. They write the result already before they go into election. And they read that result, and there is nothing the people can do. They are powerless. You protest, they don't even care if you protest till you die. For us to govern ourselves, for us to be able to write our constitution that reflects our specificity, we have to get rid of these impostor puppet governments that are over us. We need to safeguard our territorial integrity. We need to raise our own army. We need to write our own constitution. We need to design our own government, our own justice system according to the way we want it to be. We have to speak our own language the way we want it to be and the way our people understands. All those who can effectuate this change will not be the people who speaks like our colonizer, who acts like our colonizer, who understands our colonizer. It will be people that understands our people, that feel for our people, that will fight and ready to die for our people. Sorry to tell you, those PhD holders, they will have no say in our liberation because they understand the way their mind have already been brainwashed. All those parading we see with BBC PhDs, they will only tell you follow the rules because they were trained to follow the rule of the white man. They were trained to follow the rules of the white man, and the rules were meant to keep us the way we are. Nnamdi Kanu is not a leader because he carries his PhD. All the Eastern Security Network guys, I talk with them, most of them, they don't speak English because they are the real people who understands and feel for the people. Look at the ADF, it's the same. Our General Efang and our best general, we have General Ivo, they did not go to military school. But they are willing to fight, like our soldiers in the old. They were fighting for the village. They were fighting for their children. That is the reason why police exists. That's the reason why military exists. It does not exist because you are recruited. It exists because of need. We must fight and liberate ourselves for our people to come out of this thing. What this overthrow of the government, of the Afghanistan government, their failure to fight, their failure to resist forever, has come about because the people resisted. The Taliban did not give up. They keep on fighting. They keep on fighting. And that is why the Americans come to the conclusion that they are losing more money than they are making. They should not be fighting for you when you cannot fight for yourself. And we can make Nigeria and Cameroon come to the same conclusion by resisting, by fighting with all we've got. We should not listen to those who come with the manipulated calculation to make us to behave the way the slave master wants us to behave. If you're a slave, you want your freedom, the last person you should be talking to or listening to is the person who is the watcher. You know, the slave always have a task master. The last person you should be talking to is the happy slave or the task master, or the one who is dining, who understands, who is discussing with the enemy. The Taliban did not look for representatives who have studied in Britain or who are working with Americans who can speak English. English. As a matter of fact, they had a translator translating in Pashtun to their spokesperson. Their spokesperson cannot speak English because he is there to express the will of the indigenous people. He's not there to talk in English. No revolutionary have won who were there speaking very good English. Go and look Mugabe. Mugabe was a pure Englishman. He had all the good ideas. He was a revolutionary. But what system did he put in place? At the end of the day, the British people make him a knight. They gave him all those titles, and he became even a tyrant to his own people. Nelson Mandela, a true revolutionary at heart, but a real British man. He compromised. If you had the first leader of South Africa was the wife of Nelson Mandela, the South African people today will be independent. Yes, the economy could have plunged, but they could have emerged better. The Southern Sudan, they killed their real revolutionary. In Southern Sudan, they killed their real revolutionary and had somebody who is now debating, but they have a chance. The real revolutionary for us is Cho Ayaba. The real revolutionary for the Biafran people is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If something was to happen to him, which is what I expect will happen, the Biafran people should not look somebody who is eloquent. All those qualities should not be even on their consideration. They should look those people who had worked with Nnamdi Kanu when it was not popular, who have gone to jail with him and come out. Those people who cannot even speak properly in the public, but who love the people, who are ready to fight for the people, who will not take decisions that will protect themselves and their political interests, but that will protect the interests of the people, who are willing to die for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, the international community, they are licking their butts now because they have come to the realization that their policy to impose themselves on other people and other culture cannot work. We must step up as indigenous people, speak for ourselves because nobody will speak for us. You don't expect to be in a competition because the international community is a competitive community for your opponents and your rivals to come and advise you. You only get advice from people like us. Like Guevara said, the father of the United States of Africa, do not expect other race to liberate you. It must come from you. We are the voice of the never again generation. The voice of the hope of Africa. You have been waiting for us. We are the true liberators, the voice that speaks with unfiltered language to you on the need to liberate yourself. If you do not liberate Biafra and Ambazonia this time, our people will suffer worse than we have suffered in the next 20 years. There will be over 65 million Africans leaving West Africa to go to Europe to seek for asylum. The migration wave will continue. Yes, we can be free. We can be independent from all corruption, from all subjugation, all marginalization. Yes, we can make it. And we are doing it. Thank you very much for listening to me. God bless you. And may our liberation movement be short-lived. May freedom, democracy, civil liberty be in Ambazonia and in Biafra land forever. God bless you.